All right, guys, are we ready to upset some more competitive Smash players with another tier list?
Surely that's not the reason we're doing this again, right?
Nah, don't worry, Joe. We're only doing this since it was requested by one of our fine viewers in the last video. On the topic of that, we have seen other video ideas be requested quite recently. The creator just wanted to take this time to let you know he appreciates the suggestions. And if he thinks they're good enough for a video, he will most definitely schedule them into his future plans. But don't feel too down if we can't get to them straight away. It's nothing personal. It's either because he'll be trying to fit them into his schedule, or the video idea / the way you requested it was bad.
In that sense, if it's the second reason, then yes, it will in fact be personal. Now, can we get on with the stupid list? I want to get back to our Road to WrestleMania playthrough.
Cool your Air Force One jets, Donald. This time we'll be starting with Mr. Nintendo. I personally feel that this is a pretty mid-final Smash considering what we have on the list.
Oh, come on, Barack. It's like a massive fire blast from the Pokemon games.
The move itself is cool, but it can be pretty ineffective if you're able to escape the vortex. Because of that, it tends to have a 50-50 chance of actually taking out the opponent, so it deserves to have points taken off for that.
It's a middle-of-the-road final Smash, I'd say. Let's go ahead and stick it in B. Still a decent start to the list.
And then it all comes crashing down with a Kong.
Oh, come on, Trump. You could use a different tune for your speeches. Imagine DK here dropping a beat with those bongos of his.
Now, don't get me wrong, Joe. I'm sure DK's music would be massive for raising my poll numbers. But in terms of a final Smash, this just ate it, Chief. All you got to do is get away from the radius of the beat, and you'll be golden.
It's not always that simple. If it's on Battlefield, for example, then you might very well be cooked if DK can start it up in the middle of the stage.
Yeah, but what about the bigger stages in the game? Overall, the negatives just outweigh the positives for me. Stick it in C, Barry.
Fine, Donald. Next up, we've got Link's Triforce. I personally think this is a very good final Smash. When caught by it, you're pretty much saying goodbye to your style.
Not just that, Barry. It can also cause damage and even knockouts for players who stand too close to the move as it's happening. Combine that with the fact that it's very hard to dodge this to begin with. I'd say we've got a very strong final Smash here.
I think that just about covers it. Stick it in the A tier, Barry, which I will admit is probably where we should have put Link himself in the fighters tier list.
I'm a fire in my laser!
Guys?
Just no Donald. There was no need for that.
Put this one in S tier for the fact that it gives us Zero Suit Samus in all her glory.
What the hell, Joe? You're a married man.
Now hold on, Barack. Joe here is
Donald,
cooking.
don't encourage this.
It's going in S tier, and that's final. And I'm making the executive decision to put Kirby's in D. Don't get me wrong, I love food as much as the next guy, but Kirby's intention is to literally burn his food every time. And I can't allow that.
That is the stupidest reason to put something into a low tier I have ever heard, but honestly, I just don't care about this final Smash, so I'll let you have it.
Oh, hell yeah, it's Landmaster time. I remember having a Landmaster toy when I was a child. I played with it all the time, pretending I was a member of the legendary Star Fox team. Guys?
You idiot, Joe, you were already a middle-aged man when Star Fox became a
We're
thing.
moving on from this. I think the Landmaster is a very fun final Smash, whether you're using its massive cannon or knocking your opponents out by flying them out of bounds. I think it's great.
It's a fun time, sure. But you're kind of screwed if you're playing on a stage like Temple, for example. Everyone's just going to go to the lower levels knowing the Landmaster can't follow you because of its massive size. At that point, it becomes a waste of a final Smash.
So it's a little too big to fit in smaller areas. So what? It's the goddamn Landmaster. Surely the cool factor should keep it at a high tier, right?
You know what, Joe? I'll let you have this. I'll put the Landmaster in A, but only because of how badass Wolf's version of it looks.
Speaking of badass, how about Pikachu's Volt Tackle?
I absolutely love this final Smash. You may be able to go super with Sonic in this game, but this, in my opinion, is the closest you'll ever get to being a Super Saiyan in Smash Bros.
Not to mention it looks just as badass as it is powerful. Boys, I think we can agree to put this in S tier and move on.
Yep, we'll do. I'm going to stick Marth in A. It's nothing flashy, but you're more or less guaranteed to get a knockout with this every time. It can't go any lower than A because of that.
Okay, so Game & Watches. A definite mean final Smash. I won't lie though, I've probably used this final Smash the least out of all the ones in Brawl.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this one. I'm just going to stick it in C. I'm sure that'll upset someone. And you know what? I'm going to continue that trend by sticking Luigi's in B.
Nice going, Barack. Game Producer 6 is about to go Super Saiyan on the creator's ass for this.
Hear me out here, Trump. This is something that I've only really shared with Michelle. Now, I know this might sound crazy, but I honestly believe that this final Smash has played a part in Joe becoming as sleepy as he is.
Hang on, what the hell are you talking
It was
about?
back in 2010. Me and Joe were playing a game of Brawl, a classic Mario versus Luigi showdown. I got my hands on the final Smash, and as soon as Luigi began his weird dancing, Joe's eyes were glued to the screen as if he was hypnotized. Ever since then, he would start sleeping twice as much as he used to do. And it's only gotten worse as the years have gone on.
That's insane. Joe, is this actually true?
I'm not gonna lie, boys, I don't even remember that happening. Hell, I don't even remember playing that match with you to begin
I
with.
believe that whatever occurred on that day caused your mind to seal whatever happened to you away so you'd never have to remember it. To sum it up, I'd argue Luigi's final smash is the most broken one in the game. But because of what it has potentially done to my best friend, I will only accept a B tier for it at the maximum.
This just got a whole lot heavier, didn't it?
Put Zelda's final smash in B2. It's pretty good, but who on God's green earth actually likes this one? The positives and negatives balance out here.
Fair enough, Meta Knights can go in there too. It can be pretty hard to land this. Sure, it'll probably lead to a knockout. But you do have to overcome a massive skill issue to perfect this one.
Broadway is going to be very happy with this placement, I'm sure.
And I'm going to put Pits in A. It can be a bit difficult to avoid his reinforcements because of how fast they fly. If you're not careful, they're going to build up that residual damage to you quickly and send you flying.
Okay, but if we're putting Samus's final smash in S tier because it's a giant laser, then surely Pokemon Trainer's triple finish deserves top spot too, right?
No, you're wrong, Joe. It's got like a quarter of the width that Samus's super laser has.
They use the power of teamwork to create this. Nothing is more powerful than that.
I'm willing to put it in S for the sentiment alone.
You guys are idiots.
Relax, Donald, I'm joking, it's going in A. Ike's, however, will be going in S, and I will fight for my friends for this placement.
No need to do that, Barack. The Great Aether is amazing to watch, and is pretty much a guaranteed knockout. Put it in S.
Snakes deserves an S tier too, Donald. I swear if you make some kind of a bomb joke here, I'm deleting the road to WrestleMania
Oh,
save.
calm yourself, Hussein. But I agree this is another S tier. This final smash is the literal definition of carnage. Not to mention how much character it has with Snake basically retreating to a safe position to rain hellfire with his grenades.
Can we put Yoshi's in S too? The awesome dinosaur deserves
Not a
it.
damn chance. His fireballs may be powerful, but I can't for the life of me control his movement properly.
We'll put Yoshi's in A to compensate for Donnie's massive skill issue.
Screw off.
Also screw Peach's final smash. It's that bad that I was originally not even going to acknowledge it, but I figured that would be me.
Coward.
Whatever, you fat orange. Give me your damn opinion on Ganon's final smash already.
It's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, not a chance Joe gets through the road to WrestleMania series without The Undertaker spooking him out. I think this is another S tier. It's straight to the point and can be very hard to dodge on one-platform stages. Ganon himself is the worst character in the game. But at the very least, he's got a good final smash.
All right then, next up is the Ice Climbers. I personally think this is a B tier final smash. But Joe, since the Ice Climbers are your favorite fighters in the game, it only makes sense for you to get the final say here.
Thanks, Barry. I do think you're cooking with that opinion, though. If you can get away from the Ice Mountain's radius, then the move is practically pointless. But getting hit by it causes some major residual damage to your fighter, which can allow you to get knocked out pretty easily. Overall, a solid B tier in my books.
You do realize if you talked as well as that during your speeches, you might still have the fate of the country in your hands,
Oh,
right?
come on, Donald. Even you can't deny it gets nerve-wracking speaking in front of a massive crowd.
Perhaps, but if the nerves ever get to me like that, I'll just fire up the DD dance and everything will be fine after
Nah,
that.
kiss my ass, Game Producer 6. This is a terrible final smash.
How dare you!
I'm sorry, Donald, but the only way this final smash is knocking you out is if you suffer from massive skill issue
I
syndrome.
will not stand for this insanity.
You better stick it in at least C before Donald goes on a fat rampage, plus because of the fact that there's so much character shown with this one.
Whatever. I'm going to say we put Lucario's final smash in A.
Yeah, I love a good old laser beam final smash as much as the next guy. But if you've got an agile fighter, you can avoid this one pretty easily. That said, if you do get caught in the fire, then it's very deadly.
Ness and Lucas's can go in B tier. Again, if you're good at dodging, you're not going to have too many issues with these ones.
Unless the game makes you trip as if you're Joe going up the stairs.
Shut your fat mouth up. We're putting your least favorite character's final smash in S tier. Deal with it.
I never said Sonic was my least favorite. I just said I don't appreciate how he stole DDD's thunder in subspace. That said, this is indeed a goated final smash.
Absolutely. You could easily get a few knockouts in multi-man matches if you're skilled enough. It's so satisfying to send your opponents blasting away as if they're Team Rocket.
Now, Giga Bowser is a cult classic. But boys, even I, the melee man of the group, will admit here and now that the Giga Chad is pretty mid as a final smash.
Which does suck. He's pretty powerful, sure, but it's actually much easier to avoid his attacks than you might think. That said, I still think playing as the Chad himself is more fulfilling than that stupid One Punch Man crap in Ultimate.
Where are we ranking the Giga Beta Sussy Baka
Joe,
Donald?
take your damn pills. And Barry, stick Giga Bowser in B tier.
Super Wario can go there with him. I think the gimmick is awesome, but it's really nothing special when you consider what we've got in the higher tiers.
I want to put Rob's in A. It may not be the most standout final smash, but it's sure as hell full of carnage.
Man basically gets corrupted with the same virus as Porygon Z. Those out-of-control lasers can pack one hell of a punch. And he remains as easy to control as he would be normally. A devastating yet underappreciated final smash.
Can we end this list off by putting both Falcon and Olimar's in A?
I don't see why not. Both moves are basically knockouts to the opponent if done right.
I don't know, guys. I think we need to put Olimar's in low D. He's top 3 on the competitive list after all, so he has to be a bad character.
I agree wholeheartedly on him being a bad character. It's everyone else who's wrong. But there's the list done, boys.
A complete waste of my time. Come on, guys, let's boot SmackDown versus Raw back up. I want The Undertaker to spook Joe out.
Praying for my downfall even after I drop out of the election. That's just crazy, bro.